At this point, I would like to bring up Lisa and Bill Brandon. They are parents of Connor Brandon, who died of an overdose at a concert at the Comcast Center last July. When he went out to attend college in San Diego with a pot shop on every corner, what had started as a little experimentation with marijuana turned into an addiction that took his life. Lisa? Bill?
Thank you, John. My husband Bill and I are here to talk about why we're going to vote no on number 3. And our son Connor Brandon was 19 years old, and he was at the Comcast Center this July, and he died a drug-related death. There are 26 other kids there taken to hospitals, another death. And we're here to talk about why we want to help the youth. And voting no is actually a help for our youth. Our son Connor was a person anybody would want as a child. He was a great student, he was a great athlete, a great friend, and he went off to California to study bioengineering. And while he was there, Bill and I were concerned that, well, what about these pot shops? So when I was there, I visited one to find out what it was about. And I walked down this alley and I went into this shop, and it was set up like a candy shop. Literally, there was a glass container, and on the bottom of the front is a bunch of pot brownies. There's a bunch of pot cookies, and there's a bunch of lollipops and candies. And then behind the salesperson were shelves with glass containers of all different kinds of pot, like cookie jars. And I asked them, well, how does this work? And they said, well, you just need a medical marijuana card. Oh, well, how do I get that? They said, well, here's the name of a doctor, they'll just give it to you and come back. So I turned to leave, he said, wait, I'm gonna give you a couple samples. So I left with a brown paper bag with 2 pot brownies and 2 different kinds of pot. You know, that's what we're facing here in Massachusetts. Do we want this in front of a pot store in front of our schools, in front of our high schools, our elementary schools? I don't. And our son Connor, when he came back from California, he had substance abuse issues. And he had a lot of good friends try to help him out, try to help him. And he finally had the strength, like all of these students have finally had the strength to say, I need some help. And we tried to get him help. We called a lot of places. Several places had several-month waiting lists. We found a place that had a several-week waiting list. And he agreed to go. We had a date. 1 week before that date, he had the siren call of, go to the Comcast Center, go to a rave, just come with me. And he went, and he's dead now at 19. And we don't want to see a huge distribution of pot. There's not enough capacity in our state to take care of substance abuse issues as it is. This is a real public health issue, and we're here to encourage you to vote no on 3. Bill.
Thanks, honey. And also thank you, John, and thank you so much to all these young folks that came out to support us today. You know, we are in mourning, let's face it, right? Our son died, we're having good days and bad days, and we're eventually going to figure out what we want to focus on in terms of turning this whole thing into something good. This opportunity came up fairly rapidly, but seeing all you folks here, and after, you know, Heidi, John, seeing what's happening here, I really feel like we made the right choice to rally and get out here today and start to speak up. And I don't think this will be the last time you'll hear from us, but this is about children and 21st century pot. You know, all of us, I grew up in the 70s, you know, pot was around. This stuff is different. It's 8 to 10 times stronger. It's made in labs, and, you know, who knows what this stuff is. In this law, the way I read it, it's intended to increase distribution of it. I would maintain a compassionate society would not want to do that. A compassionate society takes care of its vulnerable people on the top and the bottom, and most of all, that means the children and the young people. So this is a red herring. As has been mentioned already, there's lots of problems now in all communities. We found out that, you know, we moved out to the suburbs. We used to live in Cambridge, and we moved out there thought we'd get away from this stuff. Well, it's probably just as bad out there in the Tony Metro West as it is in all the other communities. It's everywhere. And there are legitimate addiction problems with this stuff, with pot. So let's think about this before we get deluded into talking about these medical issues. This is about increasing supply and distribution. Who are the winners? The winners are going to be people that are into distribution and supply of marijuana. I don't know who they are. Apparently they're from out of state. They're entrenched in Colorado and California, and they'd like to grow. I don't want them to grow here. The losers are going to be the kids and those poor people that have a disposition or a predisposition to substance abuse. And these people have a weakness, and we don't need to let them be exploited by people that are interested in money. This law is going to add fuel to the fire, and it's just wrong. If you really care about medical issues, well, there's a process for that. It involves the Food and Drug Administration. They test the drugs. Doctors have information that they use to make their prescriptions. They don't just make it up. And then pharmacies dispense it according to procedures which have been very well defined at this point. So why should this be any different than any other medicine or substance? Again, it's about the children. Please vote no. Please join us for all these kids and all the other kids in the Commonwealth. Vote no on 3. Thank you very much.